The definition for me of being a great mom is I help my kids become the fullness of who they came here on this planet to be. Even just taking the time to define that, to be able to know that that's my target, that is my personal version of success, along with like, I am happy, they are happy, we are fulfilled, we are all thriving, we are doing our best, we are supporting each other, we are loving each other, we are showing up for each other and for ourselves. It's not about I have to do things the way I saw them modeled. It's about I get to define, you get to define, we get to define what great motherhood or parenting looks like to us, while simultaneously creating the spaciousness and knowing that there is spaciousness to allow in all of who you came here to be. Welcome to Superhuman Selling. I am very excited for this episode. This is going to be a solo episode all about motherhood and your mission. So, if you have ever wondered about how you can pursue $1 million dreams while also raising little ones, you are not alone. So, as I record this, I have 3 kids, 5 and under, a 5-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a 5-month-old. And I'm running and growing our business in the multi-millions. And spoiler alert, it's definitely not perfect, but it is possible. And so my goal is that by the end of this episode, you're going to see how to reframe. If you're feeling any sort of mom guilt, I also want to shout out all parents who are listening to this, or you are aspiring to be a parent, you want to be a parent, that you can reframe any of those limiting beliefs into legacy, that you learn how to expand your energetic capacity as a parent as well, to be able to see yourself in your best light as both a parent and your best entrepreneur self, sales leader, etc. And that you'll be able to see why saying yes to your mission is one of the very best gifts that you can give to your kids. And so I'm really excited to dive into this. And I was laughing as I was thinking about what I wanted to share on this. I've really felt called to talk about this for a while now. So that's part of why we're doing this episode now. It's just something that's really been on my heart, like as my business has evolved, as it's grown, as I've evolved and grown as a mom. I mean, I'm only 5-ish years in now, I guess close to 6, which is a little crazy. So still early on my journey, but all of my big business growth has been while I've simultaneously been having babies every couple of years. Um, and so I've gotten to navigate and learn a lot about parenting, about motherhood, and about growing and scaling and leading a really successful company all at the same time. And so it's been kind of like an intensive on all of this. So I'm just going to share my own personal experience. And I think that it's so important with parenting that everyone really tune into what feels true or right for you. I never want to tell someone what to do. That's not my belief. I'm just going to share what my perspective is, what's worked for me, what's allowed me to raise our 3 kids, I feel pretty successfully, while also growing the business. And I want to pour into you today. And so, anyway, the whole reason I was laughing as I was thinking about this is we are launching a magazine, which I'm so excited for. And so, whenever you're listening to this, it's probably either going to be out or close to out. She Sells Magazine. We're incredibly excited. And I am writing a column in there that's on motherhood, money, and mission. And so I had written the column and I was I was using AI to like go through and just help me make sure that everything was tight and do some editing. And the picture that it was painting of my mom life was, very aspirational. Like, I will just say that, and how many of you can relate to that? I always laugh with my AI too because it always talks to me about, like, golden hour, and light is dancing on my skin, and money's dancing in my bank account, and my husband's AI tells him to, like, get to the point. It's like, just stop pontificating and get to the point. So, very different relationships. That's why I love it. You can train your AI. But I was laughing because it was painting this really idyllic picture of my life as a mom and a CEO where like everything flows so smoothly and perfectly and it's so easy and I'm just flowing in and out and making money and then laughing with my kids. And in reality, um, that's not always the case. Not that I don't think I have, like, a beautiful life, and I love being a mom, and I love the moments that I have as a mom, and I also love my business, and I feel quite blessed and abundant. And simultaneously, I'm wiping poop every day. We're dealing with blowouts and, you know, big feelings from kids. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, that's beautiful, and they're becoming who they are, but, I was even just laughing, like, last night at dinner, Jason and I actually saged my kitchen last night after dinner because the energy during dinner with our 3 kids had been so strong that I was like, "I gotta like, we gotta clear this." There was just a lot, like, people were falling on their heads off of the chairs at the kitchen counter. There was a lot of tears. There was wanting to pull pants off, and eat naked. There were blowouts. Was baby needing to go to sleep, and and I think Jason and I managed to eat somewhere in between all of this. But so, I think we get our greatest opportunities for growth in parenting and in business. And so when you combine them, you get a lot of opportunities for growth. But one thing I want to speak to that I dealt with, I would say a lot more at the beginning of my journey that I really I don't face it as much anymore. I think I've moved a lot of energy around it, but, the concept of mom guilt is so prevalent, and I wanna just invite us all to release that, and I felt it, and it was interesting because 'cause I'd done a lot of work around, like, just releasing guilt in areas of my life, and then it really came up as a mom, and I remember having a mentor say to me once, "God doesn't use guilt." And that was a really helpful reframe to become aware that if I was in a place where I was making myself wrong, I was feeling guilty for, you know, wanting/needing to work on my business during the day or being away from my business, being with the kids, that like I wasn't in alignment either way. And I was making up a story that usually involved a lot of shoulds that wasn't my highest truth. And so I wanna help you reframe this. Any sort of, like, mom guilt or parent guilt or dad guilt you might be feeling around, like, "Oh, I wanna have it all. I wanna be fully present for my kids, and simultaneously, I want to be able to build my business." Let's reframe that right now because you are a whole person, and you get to have all different areas of your life where you excel, where you show up, where you get to experience more of yourself. I really felt so much more confident and comfortable being an entrepreneur, being a business person than being a mom. And I'll share that like very candidly. Like now I feel quite comfortable in both for the most part, but I always knew that I always knew I was going to be in business. I always knew I was going to be successful in business. Like I knew that that was part of who I was and who I came here on this planet to be. I wasn't a woman who, like, from the day I was born, had a vision of being a mom, and I'll share that openly. It just wasn't. I know so many women say, like, "I knew I wanted to be a mom from the time I had, like, baby dolls and was playing with him." I didn't. I really didn't. Now, as a mom, it's the greatest gift. I can't imagine anything greater, right? I really can't. Like, even with all that it involves, it is literally the greatest gift, and I'm so grateful for it. And I didn't have a powerful identity or self-concept as a mom of who I was gonna be as a mom, and so I think I don't use the word struggle a lot because I think it's just, like, it's not a helpful word to use, but I did feel like as I was earlier in my journey and even maybe up until the past year, I feel like I've had a lot of growth in the past year in this area, um but I did struggle with, like, not really not knowing who I was, not feeling powerful in my identity as a mom, not knowing and seeing the value I brought there versus in my business, and so I would always feel, like, called or pulled to the business, but then I would feel guilt about not showing up and being present with my kids or not feeling, like, as powerful there as I did feel in my business, and so there's been a lot of healing and growth in this. I actually um, took a course on mother energy, which was really, really powerful. There's a program called Women Love Power. I think it's Women Love Power that I really enjoyed. It was about the mother archetype, and it helped me access parts of myself, like maternal parts of myself that I hadn't activated before. And so going through that, starting to see myself more as a mom, and then still simultaneously needing to make my own rules about, well, what is great motherhood to me? And I think this is really important for all of us is like, are you just playing by the assumptions of what someone else said? I think you can apply this in business too. Like, am I just going by the assumption of what someone else told me in terms of what good looks like, in terms of what quote unquote standards I should be living up to? Or have I stopped to really think for myself of what a good mother is, of what a successful business is, right? Like really defining that for yourself, because if you haven't stopped to do that, you're always going to be stretching and reaching for something outside of you, and you're never going to feel grounded in your truth. You're not, and that's where I think we all know what alignment feels like or doesn't feel like. And I know I didn't feel the alignment of being in my power as a mom for a long time until I stopped to define, well, what does good motherhood look like to me? What does it feel like, even more importantly? And I grew up with a stay-at-home mom, and my mom is a brilliant woman, Ivy League grad. I always laugh because Harvard was her second choice school. Like she went to Harvard, but that was her second choice school. Um, she really wanted to go to Stanford, but she made some decisions not to do it. Just based on some stuff that was going on in her life at the time. And so anyway, she, very brilliant woman, and she I say gave that up. I don't actually like that language, but she chose to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom and raise myself and my sister. Um and so my model for motherhood was that good is staying home with your kids and being there for them. And she did a phenomenal job. But N that was never my path. That was not my dharma to be a stay-at-home mom, not that, like, I think oh my gosh, like, I have the utmost respect for stay-at-home parents because it's a lot of energy. Like, I have help at home, I'm very open about that and grateful that I have help, and when I am on my own caring for the kids, like, it's a lot of energy, and so with that being said, that was not my path, but I did struggle with, am I a good enough mom if I'm not there all the time, right? Am I, and also I have aspirations and goals in my business that are the same size, if not bigger, than a lot of my colleagues are maybe, who maybe have a stay-at-home wife taking care of the household or whatever the scenario is. And on my journey and on our journey, of my partner, my husband, Jason, going to medical school and, being, very blessed and privileged to have retired him from his job as a respiratory therapist years ago. We've been on the med school journey for, oh my gosh, how many years now? Close to 5. I mean, it's really been yeah, about 5. It's really been like everything has been happening in the past 5 years in our lives, from our first son being born to me launching this brand and business and it really taking off to Jason deciding to go to med school. And so I've been sole financial provider, um, and the med school journey, he did have a few years at the beginning where he was home, and he was studying and prepping for med school, but he was home taking care of Jack, which was really nice and really helpful, and we had a lot of time freedom and flexibility. We bought an RV, we did the thing, it was beautiful. And now with him being, like, in it, he's 3rd year in med school, he's gone a lot, and that's okay, and that's his dharma, and he's doing the right thing and the right thing for his path, and I know that, and I respect that, and I appreciate that. And so I'm saying all this, so it's not about comparison, but just to, like, give an understanding of each of us has our own unique set of life circumstances, and I think that if we are trying to evaluate success or what good looks like based on what we saw our parents do or based on what we see others around us doing when there's maybe very different circumstances there. Like you're not gonna be grounded in your power to determine what is really true and good for you. So I had to look at, okay, for myself, if I am living in my purpose, if I am in alignment, if I am doing the things that light me up, if I am in my power, if I am my fullest and best self as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a partner and a wife. What are my standards? What are my rules? What is it for myself that matters? And as I really defined what a good mother was to me, it shifted and evolved from I can only be a good mom if I'm there all the time with my kids, which was, I think, the programming and conditioning that I had just from how I was raised. And because I received that from my mother, which was really beautiful. But for me, that wasn't possible, and I tried to do the thing that a lot of moms do where, like, they work and their kids are playing around them on the floor, and they're, like, responding to emails, and the kid is on the floor having a shit fit. Sorry, I'm gonna curse on it, but and they're, like, somehow doing it all. Y'all, that doesn't work for me. I tried it. I have I've had team members who are able to do that. I can't like, it just does not work for my brain. I feel so fractured. I feel so splintered. I've like, oh, it's just not good. So I have learned for myself, I've gotta be able to be really present with what I'm doing. That's also why when I'm with my kids, I don't like answering work messages or doing work stuff because I don't feel present with them then. So for me personally, I gotta be focus on what I'm doing and all in on that and can't have the distractions. It just I have learned that for myself, but I really looked at for me as a mom, the definition for me of being a great mom is I help my kids become the fullness of who they came here on this planet to be. I create an environment, I create support, I create an energy that allows them to expand into the fullness of who they came here to be. And it's funny because that's actually what I think about for my clients. That's what we aim to do in our programs and in our community is create a container and environment that allows our clients to expand into the fullness of who they came here to be. Well, that's what I envision my home to be. That's who I want to be as a mom. That's what I want to be able to create. And so even just taking the time to define that, to be able to know that that's my target. That is my personal version of success, along with like, I am happy, they are happy, we are fulfilled, we are all thriving, we are doing our best, we are supporting each other, we are loving each other, we are showing up for each other and for ourselves. It's not about I have to do things the way I saw them modeled. It's about I get to define, you get to define, we get to define what great motherhood or parenting looks like to us while simultaneously creating the spaciousness and knowing that there is spaciousness to allow in all of who you came here to be. So maybe you're in corporate sales. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're starting your business. Maybe you're exiting a business and you're starting another one. Maybe you're at an in between point and you're like, I don't know where I'm going next. And this feels really uncomfortable. You can be the fullest expression of you in all areas, and you can allow in and create space for you to experience yourself as an abundant, embodied mom, parent, dad, leader, um, support system partner, all of it. All right. And so I really think that that's a lot of what this life journey is about us finding out who we are, and we can do that through a lot of times relationship with others. We can do it with through relationship with our business, with money, with our partner, with our kids. It's all just mirrors that are helping you expand more into the fullness of who you are. But you've got to give yourself permission to make your own rules and stop trying to measure up to someone else's standard or like some ideal cultural standard and instead decide what is really true for me here. What matters for me here? And this is what I love about our community. We have we have moms in corporate who have used this material to maybe go from like a 45, 50 hour work week down to a 30-hour work week or less and actually make more money. And they use that extra time to be present with their kids, to start the day with their little ones, to end the day at 2 or 3 o'clock, to be there, to be present and still sell and achieve more. We have or entrepreneurs, again, who are, like, crushing it, making more money than ever, and simultaneously building and growing and expanding their family life. And we also have members of our community. I've got a lot of beautiful women in our community who are like, "You know what? Um, I don't necessarily care about being a billionaire, but I do wanna be abundant. I wanna be expansive in my business, and I want to homeschool my kids," which we're on that journey right now with our youngest. We've been doing that and playing with pulling them out of school, and so there's that may be a separate episode that I'll talk about, but, um, anyway, like, there's so many ways to do it, and there's not a right or a wrong, right? And I think in all areas, money, business, motherhood, health, you have to define what what your ideal is, what your fullest expression is, and you'll know that it's a soul led desire, that it's a soul goal because you're like, "This feels so good, and this would feel amazing. Whether anybody was watching or not, this would feel so good to me. Like, I feel good about this." That's how you know, all right? And I wanna just invite you as you make your own rules, if it looks different than you saw growing up, which it very likely will, um, to know that your energy is a mirror for your kids, and what's so beautiful, and I've seen this again and again and again in our community, is that as our community members who are in our programs level up and release limiting beliefs, shift into greater abundance, find ways to achieve far greater results in their business or their sales in less time, like, it expands everyone around them, right? Because what's actually happening to allow those things is that they're becoming more whole. Like, there's work and there's processes that we teach that are about actually feeling whole again, becoming whole in yourself, and that really looks like we're not seeking or striving for things outside of us anymore, and the irony is that when we do that, then just like the Bible said, "All these things shall be added unto you." So it happens, but in you returning to your wholeness, in you doing what we call selling from wholeness in the community, you model that for others, and what happens is partners raise up, husbands raise up, wives raise up, kids raise up, and I've seen literal, like, I see family, like, family dynamics being sh saved and shifted through this work, and so it is important that you are lit up about what you're doing. It is important that you are living your purpose and your dharma, whatever that is for you, whether you're a coach, a mentor, a trainer, a consultant like me, maybe you're a speaker, maybe you're in B2B sales. I don't care what it is that you do. Maybe you're in healthcare sales and tech. It is important that you are lit up, right? When the mom is lit up, and research shows this, when mom is feeling good, when mom is lit up, everyone else relaxes. Everyone is good. There is peace in the home. But you've gotta be on purpose and fulfilled, and so that means you've gotta know what success looks like for you, all right? And there's no place where you need to dampen down your goals or your vision because you think you can't have that and also be a present, fulfilled, successful parent, all right? So one of the things that you've gotta do is look at, where am I believing that the amount of money I make is tied in with how much time I work, which is very prevalent conditioning and societal thinking, and we wanna release that. Um, is there time that gets to be involved in building and growing your business or making money in your sales career? Yeah, absolutely. But if you have a belief that I'm only successful when I work 8 hours a day, I'm only successful when I've done everything on my to-do list, which I was actually coaching someone on yesterday in our consultant certification, um, you're gonna be out of your power. It's not true. Like, when I look at, and Kate Northrup has a great book on this called Do Less. When I look at the things that actually move the needle in my business, in my life, I can do those in about 2 to 3 hours a day, and the rest is kinda just like, it it gets done if it gets done, but it's not needle movers, so you've gotta know what your top priorities are. You've gotta know what actually generates revenue for you in your business, and it all starts with your identity. It starts with your self-concept. It starts with your wealth frequency. It starts with your belief systems about yourself. It starts with your financial thermostat, because all of your actions are gonna be driven by those things, okay? But it's not about just doing more, doing more, doing more, right? It's we teach this process in the community and in my program, the 10K Club, um, which is not by the way, go check it out, elysearcher.com/10K Club. I wasn't planning on, like, plugging it there, but I genuinely think it is life-changing. I highly encourage it. So go check it out. But we teach a process called the 4 quadrants to quantum sales growth, which is when I reverse engineered how did I go from stuck at the same level for over 10 years, grinding, feeling like no matter how hard I worked, I couldn't break past an income plateau and always feeling an anxiety and fear and scarcity about money, to 10xing my income in 6 weeks, turning my annual income into my monthly income in 6 weeks. It was this download, this framework downloaded that we call the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth. There's also a free course on it, elysearcher.com/4 quadrants. You can go check that out, and see what that's all about. But, we teach and you'll learn in there, like, why your results will never supersede your identity. So it's not about, like, making more money in your business, becoming a millionaire, a multimillionaire, whatever your goal is. It's not about necessarily the amount of time that you're spending on your business, because you can be spending a lot of time and not getting any results. It's about your identity. It's about your self-concept. It's about, are you doing the wealth energetics work? Are you available to receive? And then from there, the right actions will show up and come in, but they're gonna be specific targeted actions. I have found that becoming a parent has made me very fierce about my time, because when I'm doing this, I'm not with my kids. And when I think about the things that are most important for me to be doing in my life, yes, it is my mission, it is my dharma. I know I came here for this, and if you're listening, you probably relate to that too. Like, that is part of my life purpose, that is important. And outside of that, it's family, spirituality, God. Like, that's it. So, I cannot be wasting time on things that just check the box or things that don't move the needle, and you've gotta give yourself permission to redefine and rewrite, well, how much time is really required for me to achieve the results I want? And a lot of that, again, it comes down from the inner work, but then it also, comes down to being very strategic and intentional and fierce about, I'm only doing the things that really move the needle, all right? Now, one of the things I wanna speak to before we wrap is, well, what does it look like to really be scaling a business with babies at home or with kids at home? Because that's kind of the life that we're in right now. And I have gone through seasons where I did it with very little support on the home front. It's kind of like every time we've had a new baby, a new life come in, there's been a little bit of friction of like, ooh, all right, we gotta figure out the new support system. But I've also done it from a place of abundant support, and I think that that is so important, and this is something that I am more aware of than ever, is the more that I lean into just being in my zones of genius, which I think about for me as a mom, like, I'm the only one who can be a mom to my kids, so I need to be present to that. I get to intentionally devote a lot of time to that. I get to lean into that, like, no one's gonna mother my kids like I am, and simultaneously, there are things in the business that I and only I can do and do well, and so, when I'm in my work time and my work blocks, I wanna make sure I'm doing those things and that I'm leaning into those things, and simultaneously having support at home to take everything else off my plate, especially because he's doing his thing in med school. It's really, really important. And when we moved to Maine, we moved away from a lot of our families. So we were in North Carolina previously. We had my dad, my stepmom there. Our network was there. We moved up to Maine and didn't have any family. Now, I will say, what's been so beautiful is Jason's parents have bought a home up here and live here part time now. So that has been a godsend, and so I've lived both ways, and they're here part of the year, they're not here part of the year, so it just kinda depends on on the weather, which is understandable. But I've done it both ways. And what I have really leaned into is like, you have to get support for the areas where it's not the best use of your time, right? I was doing the laundry myself for a while, and I had this weird thing about outsourcing the laundry. And I realized not just what a time suck it is to do laundry for 5 people, like, it's a lot of laundry, especially when 2 of them are having blowouts on a regular basis. I'm not telling you which 2, no, I'm just kidding. But when there's a lot of laundry, I'll just say that. But also the energy drain of looking in the laundry room and seeing so many baskets of laundry that still needed to be folded while simultaneously I had a podcast to record, I had team stuff to do, I had sales outreaches to do. And so a lot of it has been delegating in trust and in faith and bringing on people, but you've probably heard this before, but are you really doing it? Bringing on people to help support you before you feel like the resources are there, before you feel like you're ready, before it feels perfectly comfortable, because you are worthy and deserving of support, and the way that you're gonna be able to show up best for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your community, for those around you, is by being able to be in your zones of genius as much as possible throughout the day and delegating literally everything else. And I had to get past some mindset hurdles and humps with this because little Elyse, who grew up with stay-at-home mom, who felt very comfortable at, the low six-figure level for many years in her life, like, that was my identity, that was my self-concept, and now I invest more than that. I invest close to that in just childcare support every year. Um, there gets to be and I wanna share this because I wanna tell people, like, the real deal, like, what it really looks like to do this. And everyone can kind of build their own support system and know what what is gonna look and feel right for you, but, it is so important for you to have the support to help you be in your zone of genius and to feel grounded and to feel present. And I remember I also had a mentor teach me about the difference between the male brain and the female brain, and I was like, "Why is it that there can be, like, a pile of laundry in the closet, and my husband can walk right past it and not be bothered by it?" Like, he doesn't even know that it exists, and I see it, and it's like, I have to fix it, I have to pick it up. Like, why? Why is that? And there's actually a difference in the way the male and the female brain is wired, where men, because they could be so singular focused and just like when he's on a mission, he's there to get his belt. He literally doesn't know that there's a pile of laundry on the floor. Female brain, because we were wired to just evolution, right? We were there kind of protecting the home front while the men were out hunting. Our brains are actually wired to have, oh my gosh, what is it called? Diffused focus, where we bring it all in. We pay attention to all of it. And so if there's clutter, if things aren't taken care of in the home, it's costing you cash. It's costing you energy, your attention. So having people in to clean the home, having people in to help take care of the kids if you need that. Like right now in our system, in our structure, we are some of these team members are new, but like I've got a full-time nanny at home to help with Ella. And then Luke, my 2.5-year-old, we brought out of childcare. He was in a preschool, a really wonderful preschool here. We brought him home and I'm doing homeschool with him now, which is pretty, I mean, it's 2.5, so it's pretty minimal, but we're doing that with him. And he's here during the day, and we have a full-time nanny. Jack, my oldest, is in a Montessori kindergarten. We're gonna be bringing him home for homeschool too. There's a bit of a story there that's more time than I have time to explain. We were gonna do it this year, and we ended up moving it back a year for him. But so we've got support in those areas. Today, cleaning service was here, dry cleaning pickup was here, grocery delivery was here. But what I've been intentional about is that when I am working, I am doing the things that are in my zone of genius. And as soon as I finish recording this, I'm going to go be with my family and be with my kids. And I'm going to take off this dress and go into mom mode and put on, I call them my mom clothes that can actually get dirty. And that is what we do. That is the vibe. But you get to flow in and out of these different areas of your life, and you also get to have support. So I want to I feel like there's so much more that I wanna share, and the irony of this as I record this is I actually do need to go now to be with my kids. So, there's more. Maybe I'll do a part 2 on this, but I hope that this uplifted you. I hope that this supported you, and I think that you could reflect on, as we close this out, like, when you think about what story like, what are your kids gonna say about you, um, when they're talking about you decades from now? What do you want them to say about how you showed up for yourself and what you taught them about showing up for themselves as well? And that's gonna really help you shape what good motherhood, fatherhood, parenting, and business looks like for you. So, with that, couple ways to go deeper, and then we're gonna wrap. Number 1, I wanna just, thank you for being here and being a listener, and always so honored when you share this episode with your community. And make sure that you're subscribed on whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube. We've got the video version of this if you're listening to the audio. Make sure that you're connected and following us there. We will have I mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, but we are launching a magazine. I am so excited for this. So make sure that you're on my email list so that you get notified about this when this comes out. You can send me a DM and say, "Hey, I want to make sure that I'm aware of the magazine." There's going to be opportunities in there too to be featured, to contribute, to sponsor. So if you want to get more details on She Sells Magazine, which as I record this is coming out in the next few weeks, send me a DM. We'd love to have you as part of what we're doing there. I'm really, really excited, and there'll be more to come on that. And I want to also invite you. We just launched a brand new membership. This is the by far the most affordable way to get in my energy and get in our space. All of our other programs are 5 figures plus. This is a significantly less than that. EliseArcher.com/membership. It's a really, really cool community where you can be poured into by myself, by my team. There's great content and material. It's going to take you way deeper into this. There's AI built into it too. It's really, really cool. So EliseArcher.com/membership. And I want to just remind you and encourage you and edify you as we wrap this episode to remember that every time you choose your mission and you show up for yourself, you're also choosing a bigger life for your kids and you're modeling that and embodying that for them. So, thank you as always for being a listener of the podcast. I want to remind you to trust yourself on your path to success. Remember that your desires are green lights leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. I'll see you on our next episode.